are we doing, my man?
What's up, man? Feeling great, dude. Good to be back. I'm sorry to everyone out there that we missed you last month. Shit got hectic, but we are back right now. And you know what? We're gonna forget that shit. It's just move forward.
Yeah, we're in these kind of interesting times where it's not like we didn't want to do the show. We did, but with a lot of our guests and stuff, it's practicing the safetiness and seeing how every state is up and down. A lot of people are not weird about coming into the studio, but it's all also us. Like, we don't know where you've been. So also practicing that safetiness is a big thing. It's a big thing for us, and it should be a big thing for you too. So Kevin and I decided that we are going to get together today and talk about some really, really fun stuff, man. We got a great topic today, guys. And before we get into that topic, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. McElroy, and we're going to talk about a little Bombers news. Kevin, what we got going on, man?
Man, so we are crushing our way through 2020. We had a little planning meeting on the phone a couple weeks ago that mapped out all the new stuff that we're going to release in the fall. We got 3 new items for you that I won't go into detail about just yet, but you guys are going to be super stoked. Aiming for a mid-October, early November release of that. It's going to be cool, man. This is going to be, you've seen it before, but you haven't seen it like this kind of thing. It's going to be good, man. I'll, definitely putting some extra love into it to make sure you guys get a fresh batch, because I know it's been a minute since we did a new release. So I want this to be special for you guys. And so other than that, Steve and I had a fun day today, man. We booked the rooms at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas for our Agenda February 2021 show. Yeah. The showcase Agenda was cool enough to get us a badass room block rate there, so we got that locked in. Got our flights booked today, so it's feeling real, man. And we were just talking off mic how excited we are to, we haven't had a lot to look forward to this year, and I'm sure you guys haven't had a lot to look forward to that much either. In terms of like big events, going places and doing things like that. So just the act of booking a hotel and booking your flights and having that plan is awesome, man. So Agenda 2021 is now becoming very, very real. It's not that it wasn't before, but now it's in the calendar. Flights are booked, hotels booked, and dialing in those last minute design stuff that we're going to showcase there has been awesome. Another thing,
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Yes, go. It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be we're there through the weekend, so we're gonna be all business Tuesday through Thursday. Then our wives fly in on Friday. We're gonna stay through the weekend. We're gonna celebrate. Go out to some dinner.
Yeah, and it was funny because
celebratory.
Every time I've been to Vegas has always been, and probably you too, has always been for pleasure and fun. Mm-hmm. It's going to be nice having that kind of contrast with getting in there, getting in game mode, getting there a day early before the convention starts, and just really buckling down. And then being able to actually enjoy Vegas, I think, for the first time after you've done something to reward yourself. Because the last time I was in Vegas, it was for 4 nights at a bachelor party. Guys, every time I've been to Vegas, it's been for a bachelor party. And look, there's only so much sinning you can do until it gets boring. So this will be that reward system will be a nice payoff, because we are going to bust our ass during that convention, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I guess I'll just take this opportunity to plug it. If any of you watching out there or listening know anyone in retail that would be interested in our stuff and might possibly be attending Agenda 2021, please drop us an email, bombersandsleeves@gmail.com. We'd love to set up an appointment with them. We will be there, from open to close every single day. So we'd love to talk to anyone we can. Super fair wholesale prices. And the stuff speaks for itself. I think it would do great in any, type of action sports store or anything like that. So if you do know someone, help us out, please. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Show some love.
And yeah, dude, same thing, man. So I, ever since I was 21, I went with a group of guys down to Vegas. My dad being one of those people. And then it's usually about 10 to 11 other dudes that go there. We call it the Vegas boys trip. annual thing, man. And yeah, same thing, dude. Always very fun. You go down there, but the mission is to drink and hang out and have fun and do your thing. I've never flown into Vegas with a game face on.
Yes.
There to like do some business and do the thing. There's an energy about that to it, man. You know, it's like it's one of those big meccas of convention spaces, man.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be wild, man. I'm excited to get in there, to check in the hotel. To walk into that convention space the first day and, you know, see it all done up, set up shop, and then just let it happen, man.
Yeah, and I think too, Kevin and I decided it'd be better. We're gonna go a day early, and I think that's really important for everybody. Like when you do conventions and stuff, like go a day early, scope out the scene, meet the people. It really. When it comes down to game time, you're a little bit less nervous, I think, and you have a little bit more to you know what to expect, I think.
Yeah. It's the metaphorical pregame dump.
It's the pregame dump. Yeah, it really is. It really is. You're looser, you're lighter for sure. And that's going to be awesome, man. And guys, going back to like these new designs, man, Kev's been busting his ass working on this stuff, and he showed me the prints, and it's I'm personally excited to get this out to the world, man. This shit's gonna be fire for sure.
I think, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm really excited on it too. And you know, you guys are gonna get first dibs on the drop. There might be one piece that we don't introduce, you know, that we only introduce at Agenda 21, but you guys will have access to the pre-sale before February. Like I said, you know, looking to drop that new stuff mid-October to early November, and what we're talking about here will be part of that launch too. So it's going to be good. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope, you know, you're doing as well as can be, and you found the positive in this time. Hopefully you've used it to maybe learn a new skill, or you know, just been hanging out listening to us. That's cool too.
Yeah.
You know, also wanted to mention that started communication with an overseas manufacturer today to start getting some samples for some custom cut and sew stuff. So you guys love everything that we have right now, but you know, there are some limitations to doing things with what we call quick print stuff. So that's basically like, you know, you have your wholesale brands like Bella Canvas and Gildan and things like that. And usually a print shop will have those pre-stocked, and then you print on those. And those are awesome, man. You know, some of those come out well, but if you want maybe a little longer taper, a little heavier weight, different drawstrings, different cuffs, you got to go custom cut and sew for that. And, you know, it's been over a year, and finally feeling comfortable after putting in research and study on how all that stuff works, to actually branch out on that. So, realistically, you probably won't be seeing any of that hit until like next summer or so, like that. But you know, it could be earlier, but that's something to look forward to. You know, what we have right here is just round one. Round two is going to be custom from the ground up. I think you guys are really going to love it. I'm going to put a lot into thought on you know, what seems to be doing well out of the garments that we have now, and just take those elements in terms of like the weight and the fit, and then maybe modify them just a little bit, just to get them like extra tight, extra perfect. Not tight fit, you know what I mean, like dialed in.
Dialed in.
Yeah.
Dialed in. No, that's awesome, man.
It's dialed.
Yeah, so that's the news, man. I mean, we're so excited, and it is great to be excited about something, because come on, man, it's been 6 months where, you know, look, we have lost those other conventions, those trade shows, those things that we normally do, but it never got us out of the fight. Well, I think what we did was we really learned, and we're gonna tap into all this stuff, but we learned kind of to hone in on what we need to learn, be like what really is going to push success for this company, and that's what is so exciting about this time. Kevin tapped in, like, you know, during this time. I hope you guys are doing that, where you're learning something new, learning something about yourself, picking up a hobby, picking up a new creative platform or anything, because we are given this time. It may seem like a curse, but I promise you it's a blessing, and it's all about what we do with it, okay? So I think it's time to get into the topic today, my man.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Okay, so, as of always, you guys have been on this journey with us since the birth of this company, and we like to share our journey and our experience with you. We loved taking you guys up last time up to Cleveland. You were there for the car ride up with the blasting music and got to see exactly how we do it, how we roll up to the scene. You got to see the scene, and then we had the honor of actually talking to you on the podcast and share that experience, sharing things that worked, sharing things that didn't work, and sharing things that we learned. Okay, so that's ultimately the goal, I think, for this podcast. While we have guests on here too, is they can share their story and we can swap information that hopefully you're getting knowledge. Hopefully you're getting little tidbits of information and power that's going to help you in your personal, your professional, or your creative journey. And so today we thought it'd be really, really awesome to talk about the 5 steps to start an apparel brand. And what I love about this is because if you would have asked Kevin and I 2 years ago, did you guys think you were going to own an apparel brand? We probably would have fucking laughed in your goddamn face. We were laughing in your face. No, we were trying to be rock stars. But here we are, and we own it. And it's just been such an exciting adventure. And Kevin was awesome enough to kind of break this down into a really neat template. And I think he nailed it on this. So there's 5 very important things that we think you should know when you are starting an apparel company. So we're going to start off with number 1. And this is a big one. It's find your brand. So Kev, what does find your brand mean?
Yeah, so everything you said there was great, man. And yeah, I like to just take a moment, the mission with the podcast is a practical, it's a platform for practical advice on how to win the internal war of creative pursuit.
Yes.
And that internal war correlates with our mission of bomb your boundaries, right? And that means that is a direct nod to that internal struggle that we feel as creators, trying to overcome that self-doubt. That's also why we say that we're dedicated to the war on self-doubt. And so instead of just like having those being empty marketing terms, this is our gift back to you to be like, hey, no, we really mean that you can make this happen. And bomb your boundaries is not just a fluffy marketing term. This is where you can come to actually get that real actionable advice on how to really make that happen. So as we go through this today, this is about starting an apparel brand because we have become somewhat experts on this by now, putting in over a year of work into it and all the connections we've made and stuff like that. But anything that we say right here, you can transpose it to whatever you're doing. It could be 5 steps to starting a band too. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about comes down to just connection, impact, and then some practical business advice on how to actually get it out there and not completely waste all your money in the effort or in the event. And, before you've actually got some revenue coming in. So I invite you as we're going through this stuff to, make it relevant to whatever you're doing. But, so with that being said, lots of people want to start apparel brands these days, man. Everybody. And dude, I don't blame you. It's super fucking easy. You can find a print shop. You can say, hey, I got this, you can take something as simple as like a period, like the punctuation mark, and say, yeah, man, this stands for like put a stop to shit or something. I don't know. I'm just going off the cuff of my head. And you send him a Microsoft Word document of a period, and he says, yeah, dude, that'll go good on this blank right here. That's $4 plus the printing is like $1.50. You want like 100 of them? You're like, that sounds cheap as fuck. Of course I want that.
I'm in.
All of a sudden, period brand or stop, it stops here, whatever you want to call it. Again, I'm just coming with that with the top of my head, but it's literally that easy. And then all of a sudden,
you can't steal that, by the way. You can't steal that.
But isn't that funny, dude? How like,
that's how it starts.
How diverse just even like a punctuation mark like that could be.
Yes.
It
of
could
course.
be stop human trafficking. It could be stop with the bullshit and do what you say you're going to do.
Yes.
Whatever, man. You could go a million different directions.
And I think also too, apparel has made its way into everything. So even if you're a band, YouTube, personality or you're a podcast, like you have to have apparel.
Right.
Everything has to have apparel now. In
Yeah.
the past 10 years, you have to have apparel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%, man. And yeah, dude, any business you see, you know, they got their personalized swag up on the wall, and it's become very accessible, right? And so with a low barrier to entry comes a lot of people. But where I see it falling short is in a lot of ways. So when we go through these 5 steps, I hope it just brings some clarity. And I'm not trying to shoot you down if you are trying to start an apparel brand. That's awesome. But like, don't be the guy who just, like I said, has some clip art, throws it on a print, and thinks like shit's just going to fall into place. There are some very important and very thoughtful steps that need to come first before you have a shot at selling anything. And a lot of those things are going to come down to connection and impact with your core audience. And so, with that, I'll just start going down the list. We'll just do it one by one. So we're at step number 1, and that's find your brand. And that ties into what I was just saying right there. It's not as easy as just putting something on a t-shirt and throwing it out there. That's great for family reunions or breweries or, something like that. But if you're trying to start an apparel brand, that brand is the key word right there. A brand is something far more wide-reaching than just a design on a t-shirt, right? A brand is something that is so impactful that people carry the memory of it even when they're not looking at it, right? And so that's a big task, right? There's only probably 3, 4, 5 brands offhand that you remember just walking around, and they've put millions of dollars into marketing to make sure you remember that. So starting your apparel brand, you probably don't have a huge budget like that. So you really need to think deeply about, what are you concerned with? What are you connected with? What, really, what change do you want to make in the world, and use the medium of apparel and being an apparel brand to share that message, right? Even right there, that's going to take some good time to sit and think through. And so with Bombers and Sleeves, this was born out of a frustration of taking the easy route when you're designed to be an artist, right? Seeing a lot of people give up prematurely on their artistic career to go start something else or get a quote real job or something that's more stable, or any one of those words, when really they could have very well been right on the cusp of discovering something great about their art, and that discovery could have got them to another level. And so Bomb Your Boundaries is not only a reminder that if you feel called to creative path, you should exhaust every single resource to make that happen, because it's who you are. But it's also a reminder that, maybe the limitations that are holding you back from your artistic career are really inside yourself, right? They're those self-imposed boundaries. And so take that general issue and distill it down and put a visual kind of context with it, and you have the basic framework of where Bombers and Sleeves comes from, right? Internally, you feel called to a creative pursuit, yet you maybe get scared for whatever reason, as we all do. You choose the safe route, but then you wind up depressed, anxious, completely unfulfilled. And it's because that artistic side of you is trying to find its way out, is trying to wear itself on your sleeve as a creator. And so Bomb Your Boundaries, wear your true calling on your sleeve, Bombers and Sleeves, put that together. Bam, we have a name. Okay, well,
Ooh.
Shit, dude. So we have a name, we have somewhat of a mission behind it. Now what? Is that enough? I don't know. Let's go out and test it. That's going to be the first part about finding your brand. Look around. Do people share that same thing? Or has everyone else already learned that way before you, and maybe what you think is insightful is not really that insightful? Well, as we found out talking to people, no, that's very common, actually. And a lot of people have not been able to put their finger on why they run into those walls of self-doubt and frustration. And so when you start to unpack that, you're like, okay, now we might actually be onto something. We have a common frustration, a common want to express our creative selves and carve out a creative career for ourselves, and not have to give in to fear and doubt and do something that we're not called and aligned to do. All right, so those elements of creating of a like a good brand are present within that, right? You have a common emotional thread, which is a problem, and then you have a mantra or like a reminder that's in the form of a brand to tell them, hey, remember that you have something deeper inside of you and that you're called to this for a reason. That, in what I've studied about branding, is the essence of where you need to start. Because not only is that impactful and meaningful, but it's broadly applicable to a target audience.
And you're giving value.
Yeah.
You're giving value to a very broad audience. And I want to say something about this. When you're bringing value to an audience, like, we tend to kind of target this towards creators, and you will be surprised. So when you are coming up with your branding, open your eyes, because we have been shocked so many times. And I'll give you 2 examples. Bomb Your Boundaries was a specific thing towards, creators and how we get blocked, we get discouraged, we look at society, we don't think we're good enough. It's pushing past that fear and doubt, and we're telling you to go for it. 2 examples, though, and this is what I tell you to keep your eyes open. We're at the Southern Gentlemen's Trade Show, okay? And this is how important your slogan or your mission statement is, your branding is we're at the Southern Gentlemen's Trade Show, and some girl, remember, she was working down at the other end of the booth, and she was a drug addict, and her friend just died of heroin, and she looked at, all she kept seeing was the big side of our tent and said, bomb your boundaries, bomb your boundaries. She comes up to me the last day at the event, and she said, I just want to say thank you, because I had just lost a friend to heroin, and I'm a former drug addict, and when I read your sign, it hit me that I don't want to use again. Okay? This is something about your branding. You have to make it strong, and it has to come from integrity, but watch how surprised you are how strong it becomes. We get people that sit in here and we ask them what bomb your boundaries means all the time, and you get a different answer. Now, yes, it does come with pretty much all in the same family, but it's all different. When you have something strong that you believe in, it can be applied to anything in life. Anything. Just like this girl, she didn't want to do drugs anymore. That was a reminder of staying away. And we didn't intend it for that, but that's the beauty about art. Art speaks louder than the words. And if you come up with that branding that's strong, that was just such a great example of how it can move people. And when you were talking to, what I kept thinking about when we were talking about branding, it was just do it was Nike's thing, right?
Right.
Not just do it was Nike's big thing all through the 90s. Just do it. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, the 96, 97 Bulls, they were unstoppable. They were in all the commercials and said, Nike, just do it. It was a basketball commercial. And you know what I did? Little Steve Lester. I would watch that, and I applied that in 4th and 5th grade to go talk to girls because I was so afraid to talk to girls.
That's awesome.
And I just kept saying, just do it. Just do it. So when you're coming up with your branding, have your target audience and be really specific, but don't be surprised when it becomes something bigger than you actually think. That's when you know it's strong.
Yeah.
That's when you really know it's strong.
Absolutely. So that target audience is very important, but I would say your target emotion is what you really need to sit and journal on and think about. Talk to your friends. This is going to involve compassion and empathy, which, God, couldn't we use a lot more of that in our world right now? Yeah. And what I mean by that is listen to them. Say, hey, man, what have you been going through lately? Do you notice that you've had a theme of going through stuff like that in the past, outside of, the current situation with COVID? What are you going through, man? How are you really doing? Listen when they give you feedback on or answer your question. Really seek to understand what they're talking about, look for that common thread of what they're going through that you've also noticed a lot of other people going through. Nike with Just Do It. You see a lot of people that fight with procrastination and working out. Just fucking do it, man. Just get up and put your fucking running shoes on and go out. Walk to the mailbox, man. Just do it. It is, the word it is broad enough that it can fit everyone. Yeah. And when you look at ours of Bomb Your Boundaries, dude, the one thing I love is that a lot of people are like, oh, boundaries are meant to keep us safe. That's like, I think that's unhealthy. Great. Now they're talking about us. We're opening up a conversation about what exactly boundaries mean to you. Now, yes, boundaries can be there to keep us safe, but they can also be there to keep us out of something, keep us away from something, right? So obviously what we're talking about is the positive side of boundaries, not the bomb your personal safety boundaries and put yourself in danger. That's obviously not what we're saying at all. We're saying bomb your limiting boundaries that are keeping you on the other side of what you're actually wanting, right? And so, go around, talk to people, interview people, look for that common emotional thread, try to understand further where that like root emotion comes from, and then, connect with them. See if you can offer some advice that you have. A, this could be helpful to them, but B, pay attention to that advice if it resonates with them. If you're like, why don't you just do it, to go back to the Nike example, and they're like, I never thought about that, man. Thank you. I am in my head too much. I do overthink things. I do that. In my case, I was afraid of being my authentic self, honestly, and I was in a very corporate sales job that was just not for me at all. And when I let that go and embraced being like kind of weird artist and like opened myself up to, being the writer that I've always been and, into design and creation and things like that. Now we have this. Now I get to, get to connect with Steve on a deeper level. I feel like our friendship has gotten better since we started this, because I've been able to like open up and be my true self. And I think you have too as well.
Totally.
And so, all of this, man, not to get too deep, but it should be kind of a spiritual journey, man. You're connecting deeper with people. You're seeking to understand further. And at the same time, you're letting that core authentic part of yourself come forward. And that is very important to business, because without you, you don't have a brand. Without me and my whole self in here, without Steve and his whole self given his art, we don't have what you see today. And so think about that and start down that path. And then, after you connect to that idea, then act on it. And that's going to lead us to step 2.
Number 2 is market locally. So let's talk about marketing locally.
Yeah. So, all right. So you found your brand. Congratulations. Like, super psyched for you. You may think, let's go print it up. Let's run some shit and put it up on the store and start selling it right away. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, get with your friends that have bands, get with your business owner friends, print some stickers first. Stickers and cheap flyers. And say, take those stickers over to you guys that have bands, that have businesses, that have even if it's an auto detailing business, or dude, actually your waiter friends are probably going to be your best. Your waiters and your bartenders, man, print up a sticker with your brand and your logo on it. Say, hey man, this isn't live yet, but this is my idea for my brand. This is what I stand for. This is what the brand's trying to connect with. You represent that, and I would love your help with distributing this. And say, hey man, whenever you give a check to your customer, just would you mind putting that sticker in there? Would you mind putting that flyer in there? Anytime you go out to dinner, here's some extra ones. Will you just leave that on your check when you check out? Same thing. People, if you have friends that are in bands, would you mind just handing the sticker with the brand out on it, right? Getting that pre-marketing in for very, very low cost is going to prime people in your local area to start getting familiar with it. They're going to be like, what is this? Questions are going to come up. And before you've even put anything on a shirt, you're going to be able to have conversations and getting people pre-hyped on it, right? You're like pre-selling the brand before the brand is even live. And then our personal favorite thing, fucking sticker bomb, dude. Take those stickers and stop signs, bathrooms, whatever. I'm not telling you to vandalize, but I am.
Yeah, that was actually, when we were sticker bombed, it's an addiction because once you put on one, you can't stop. You
can't.
You really can't. Get it everywhere because I'll tell you right now, if you go to, I hate to admit this, but if you go to Losers here in Nashville, there is still right there on the private parking sign a Bombers and Sleeves sticker, and the rain won't wash it off. It is still there. Everyone will see it. It's been there up there for a year. Yeah. Everyone's going to see it and they'll know. Sticker bomb. It's an old punk rock move, right? It's just an old classic tale, and we're never above that. Okay, you have to get the vision out before anybody even thinks it's cool, right? Because as soon as someone sees it, that's the biggest thing. As soon as someone sees it on a shirt, before they see it on a shirt, if they see it somewhere else, they'll be like, "I've seen that before." Everybody wants to be a part of the new cool thing.
Yes.
Okay, that's why I never got into Jack Johnson, and this is actually will go in with what we're saying. I never listened to Jack Johnson when I was in college because Jack Johnson was huge in college. Everybody else did. I was not a part of it, but the people that discovered him early on were like, "Oh my God, he's the best thing." Well, Jack Johnson's cool as shit, but people loved it because they got a hold of him early before he was even cool. It's the same thing with your brand. If you can get it out there and some people see, I don't know, even if it's 3 people, those are 3 people that think you're cool as shit. And what happens is, I think with American society is we like to kind of hold things dear and we like to know it before this person knows it. Because when it ultimately gets too cool, we're like, I don't know. That's why sticker bombing is important. Or like Kev said, give it to your waiters, give it to your friends in bands, anybody in marketing, just pass it out. When people see it and then all of a sudden they see it again, they feel great. They're like, "Oh, I know this. I'm ahead of the curve." People love cool before it becomes what? Cool.
Your community locally has a sense of ownership is what Steve's trying to say. It's like, yes, it's your brand, but it's really their brand if they connect to it first. And people love to take that and run with it because we all like to have the cutting edge shit, right?
Yeah.
And know about things that other people don't know about prior. So to make your brand on the ground floor something that belongs to your city, that belongs to your local community, it's going to have far better reaching effects. I'll be honest, we did not do this step. So we're giving you some inside knowledge. This is kind of like what we would do if we had to start over again kind of thing on this step. We have done it after we actually launched, but if I had to go back, I would follow this template that we're giving you right here. And this part about marketing locally and really getting that hype up before you ever put anything on a shirt or a hoodie or a hat, is a big step. It's going to help a lot.
It kind of goes back to this, and this is what I was kind of thinking about. In the 80s, they always said, "Don't come to LA if you can't own your city." They said that to bands. Before you launch this big thing, which is our last thing is launch, you have to kind of own your city, okay? You have to be able to get it out there and see what it does, or at least test it, and before you even do the big plunge. And 9 times out of 10, if you really can work with the community very well, it's only going to benefit you because people love helping people. You're going to make great relationships. You're going to get great assistance. And it's going to only benefit you to try to take over where you're at now, or at least get the name, the brand out before you go for the big push out into the internet and the world. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it creates that familiarity when by the time you do launch, people are going to be just subconsciously, they've already seen it, and they're ready to buy. Now, even though we didn't do this step, we were doing a lot of pop-up events right out of the gate where we did hand out stickers and stuff like that. So, but we had to invest a lot of money in a custom tent. We already had like a half batch of inventory that we were selling out. So we were already fairly deep monetarily into it before we started passing that out. So just helpful hint right there. You can save a lot and get the same benefits by just printing some stickers cheaply and putting that groundwork in first. It's going to go a long way. So
yeah, big step right there. So now we're going to be on step 3, guys, and this is called create a prototype.
All right, so now this is where you can print one t-shirt. One t-shirt design. If you want 10, 20, whatever, that's fine. But This is where you can actually test it out. But you're not going to sell these just yet. This is a prototype that you're going to have go back to your friends that are in bands, that are waiters, that are bartenders. Give them the first initial shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Now they've laid the groundwork, right? They've passed out the stickers. They passed out the flyers. People have seen it. Now, they cooled off on the stickers. They cooled off on the flyers. People have seen it. Now all of a sudden they show back up into work today. They got the shirt on. You did a small run. You did like 20 of them. You spent, whatever, $100, $200 on a very small run. Now all of a sudden people are walking in there and they're like, dude, I've seen that before. Where have I seen that? Your buddy, if he really wants to help you out, is not going to be like, oh, I gave you the sticker about it. He's going to say, oh man, this is a badass local brand, dude. You got to check them out. Do not be afraid that just because like, oh, but wait, Kev, I don't have a website or like anything yet. You're like, this is just a prototype. What do I do if someone wants to buy something? Dude, don't worry about it, man. People are not that quick to act. You're in these first 3 phases, you're in the priming phase. You're getting people used to that brand recognition, right? Just over and over. I saw the sticker, I got the flyer. Now this fucking bartender's got the shirt on. Now this guy in a band I love's got the shirt on. Now, this random mom or dad has the shirt on. Like, what is this?
It's obviously cool. It's obviously cool.
It's obviously cool.
No one else knows about it. That goes back to what we were just saying. No one cool before it's cool.
Yep, absolutely. And create that prototype, and then in this phase, this is where you really want to be looking for strategic partners after your launch that can actually help you.
Yeah.
If there is a business that you think is going to vibe really well with your brand, or if there's a nonprofit, let's say you found your brand and it's very humanitarian and mission-based, what are those nonprofits around the area that are really going to gel well with it that you can start the process of building a business relationship with? Take them the sticker, the flyer, the shirt, prototype. Say, hey, my name's whatever. This is what I got in mind. It's not live yet, but when it is, like, I really want to partner with you guys. What options do you think we can come up with, right? Start doing what I call the sales calls, man. You got to knock on doors. You got to send the emails but this time you're not fucking, you're not selling life insurance or fucking pest control shit. You're selling your heart, your dream. This is easy, right? Lots of people shy away from sales because they're like, oh man, that's sleazy, it's weird. No, man, sales is great if you believe in what you're selling.
Yeah.
And if you're selling something that is as important as you've put thought into, your art, your heart and soul, and something that you believe can really make an impact and change the trajectory of people's lives for the better, I'm knocking on all the fucking doors, man.
Absolutely.
It gets rid of that fear of being a salesperson right out of the gate, and I'm saying that to you because if you're like us, you're a creative person, you fucking hate salespeople. You hate the idea of sales. You hate the
worst.
idea of all that shit. I've been on the inside of the Shark Tank, man. I spent 4 years in there, dude. I can tell you, I don't fucking blame you. It's weird. It's like completely robotic, almost sociopathic in some ways, some of these fucking people, man. But sales in and of itself is not a bad thing. And if you do it with compassion, you do it with the right mission behind it, it's actually your obligation to go let people know about it, or else nobody's going to know about it. So this is your time in the apparel building phase to kind of start getting over your fears, man, and become comfortable selling yourself. But you're not selling yourself in a bad way and selling shit that people don't need. You're selling an opportunity that people will most likely be really fucking stoked on. Anytime we have reached out to people or sent an email, people are super stoked on it, man. They're like, this is awesome. I'd love to work with you. That's the responses that you're going to start to get. And that's what you can start to tell yourself as you go on, as you start, recruiting basically for people that can help build your brand. Is that you're going to make friends, man. You really are. If you put the proper time into it and you have the right mission behind your logo and it's just cool shit, dude, people like that. And they're wanting to hear from you. They're wanting to get down with that. So, of course, give them a prototype, see what they think. Listen to feedback in this period too, man.
Absolutely. And
if it's not going well, hey, you didn't lose out. Go back to the drawing board and ask what they would change about it.
Yeah, you have to be able to take the negative advice. And Kevin and I both stood there and had dear friends of ours just, hey, here's our prototype. Would you wear it? And maybe they did, maybe they didn't, and said, hey, I don't know, man, this is not for me. I can't really sell it. And that's honestly, and what I think what we were kind of telling is like, with us, it was like people in bands and us. If you don't have those people, that's okay. Like give it to your mom and dad,
Right,
whatever.
Yeah.
You can give it to anybody that you can, and as long as you believe in it, like they will probably believe in it and try to help sell you. But you have to be able to take the criticism, because the criticism is gold. That is the best thing you're ever going to hear. You may think what you just created. So you spent all this time on step one. You branded. This took hours, weeks, months, a year. And it goes out into the wild with this prototype. And all of a sudden your people are like, people aren't digging it. Okay, maybe something's wrong. Because, Kevin, let me ask you this, though. Like, we're all artists. So when someone says something you worked really hard on is wrong, our initial reaction is, no, they're wrong.
Yeah, very defensive.
We get defensive, and that's okay. It's who we are. We're fragile people. We're creators. But if you actually listen to the feedback, and if they say, well, this would have been cool if like maybe it was a different color, or if this went over here or this went over there, instead of like poo-pooing that or dismissing that, maybe utilize that. Maybe try something with that and then see what the reaction is. But don't get in the way of your own art is what I'm trying to say. Don't get in the way. Look at the response, because you're not doing this. You're doing this for you, but you're also doing this to connect to other people. That's how you build a successful brand. That's how you, especially in apparel. So if all of a sudden you maybe listen to that criticism and people are like, "Oh, dude, I would buy 20 of those shirts." Okay, you did the work. You actually listen to criticism. Listen to that. It is knowledge. It is gold. It is meat. It is the tastiest thing you'll ever taste in your life, because you're not always right, especially when you're first starting out. You're not always right, and we have had plenty of experiences with that. You know, so I would say, listen to criticism, put out that prototype, and see what the feedback is, and utilize that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. People usually aren't telling you shit just to shoot you down, man. There's something that they don't understand or something that's not clear, and that's valuable information for you. You know, because if you have 30 seconds to grab someone's attention, even when you get to running Facebook ads and stuff like that, if it's not right out of the gate to where people are like, I'm confused, I have no idea what this is, then that's, it's going to throw you off. And it's not good. So listen to the feedback, and yeah, everything that Steve said right there is right on, man. People are just trying to teach you, man. I think that's a good lesson for life too, dude. If people are just giving you feedback, even if your everyday life, dude, most of the time it's not personal, man. They're giving you information, and there's stuff there to unpack that if you take it the right way, probably going to be better for it. So,
well, I'll give you the best example of that is something you actually said to me. So we had our 2020 meeting in January. It was like Kevin and I sit around and we're like, okay, this is what we're doing right. This is what we're doing wrong. And I'll never forget you said this to me. You're like, sometimes I think you leave opportunities that sit on the table, or like you leave opportunities on the table and you're like, you don't attack them. And I'll never forget he said that. And I was like angry. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, fuck you. You don't even know what you're talking about. But that has stuck with me throughout this whole journey with this company, and throughout my whole journey as a songwriter, and throughout my whole journey even as like a human. Like you have to listen to people, especially when you're doing these prototypes. We're telling you, bring it to people close to you. People that are close to you are never trying to hurt you. That's what you just said. They're only trying to help you. So I've always used that and have like, is this an opportunity that I'm leaving on the table? That changed my whole kind of spectrum. It changed the program in a lot of the ways that I deal with business and interpersonal relationships, but you have to hear it. And it's that type of like criticism, but also it's helpful, okay? Because this is all coming from a place of love. So listening to those people is a huge thing. We're not always right as creators. Just because we are passionate and love something and we think this is the end all be all, and we think we got our brand all knocked out and locally we're doing great. Well, this third step is create the prototype. You're going to learn that maybe you need to go back to the drawing board sometimes. You need to go back to those blueprints, and you might need to fix things. That's all positive. Because before we get to the fifth step, which is launch, you got to make sure this shit is airtight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man. That's beautiful, dude.
Yeah. So
I'm glad that it stuck with you in a positive way.
No, it did. It did. It did. At first I was like, you're a fucking idiot. I'll kill you. But you have to learn how to, I'm telling you, and you know this too, when you're, guys, you're starting an apparel brand or any art you do, get thick skin quick.
Yeah.
Because the word no, and we talk about this all the time on the podcast, y'all heard it, you're going to hear it a lot. You're going to hear that your best ideas are the shit or are shit, and no one cares. That's what people are going to make you feel like. It's how you deal with that. That is the biggest thing that's going to move you forward, okay? No one ever just came out of the gate with like, I got a brilliant idea, and this is how it goes. And then the next day they woke up with fucking $12 million. It never happens like that. There goes through thousands of errors, failures, soul searching, everything. That's what we're trying to talk about on this. So this is my favorite part, is what I want to get into. And this is part 4. It's learn the tools. This has been a big thing for me, and I know it has been a big thing for you, and we could go on. So we're probably going to take a little time with this, but let's go into learn the tools.
Yeah, man, if you guys are starting an apparel brand, you have no fucking idea, especially if you've never done it before, how many fucking moving parts there are, man. It is like putting the design on the shirt is the easiest thing, dude. I wish that took care of stuff, but it's not at all.
And it almost makes step 1 even a lot easier.
Yeah.
It makes step 1 a lot easier.
Yeah. Now, congratulations, dude. You have a brand. You marketed locally. You got some hype around it. You have a successful prototype. Let's say, you did all the steps right there and you got great feedback. People are like, dude, your brand is fucking dope, dude. Sign me up immediately. When's the launch? I want 20 of them. Okay, great. Fuck. Now you need a website. Now you need to start building your email list. Now you got to learn about Instagram and Facebook advertising. Now you got to learn about pop-up events and like how to gather email addresses there. Then you got to learn like the seasonal flow of things. You got to learn how to track inventory and pay attention to like what's getting low and what sells the best and when to reorder and what's best to reorder and when you should completely cancel something, blah, 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 blah. Not to mention, you want full creative control as much as possible.
Yes.
So even if you have a graphic designer that does your designs, learn Adobe Illustrator, learn Photoshop, learn all of that stuff together. We have a unique combination of talents that have made things really fortunate for us. And the more days that go by, the more grateful I am for that, because I know a lot of people don't have these things. And we'll get into that in a second. But let's just start with, okay, so the main tools of an apparel brand are you got to have an e-commerce site, right? All the apparel brands pretty much use Shopify. That's what we use too. We have a Shopify premium one. There are free Shopify templates that are fine just to get started, is what we started with, but then upgraded. So you need to learn Shopify. One, you need to know how to upload a product onto there. You need to know your back end of it, how you're going to collect payments from customers. Are you doing just Shopify Pay? Are you having PayPal up there? Are you, there's a million different payment options for people that even, dude, there's like, you can put a down payment on a $10 shirt now through a Shopify app. I mean, it's endless. So you need to start there. What's your point of sale system? Is it Shopify? Do you want to have a retail store? I mean, that's a whole different thing. Then you have to apply for a bank loan, or are you going to get investors? Do you get seed money from a family and they're going to help you get the retail store in? Even still, you're going to have a point of sale system in your retail store. So start with your point of sale and learn the ins and outs of that. Make sure you know how to update your inventory in there, how to upload new products in there, and then what your customer journey is like within your website. Go through it. Oh, yeah. Be a customer of your own brand. Say, okay, I want a men's shirt. Is that clearly labeled in the menu? And then when I go to the men's shirt menu, does it aesthetically, do I go down a screen that looks sloppy as fuck with all the pictures, the different sizes and everything? Or is it a nice clean slate where I can visually see everything you have and imagine myself wearing stuff like that?
I've actually visited a few, not to cut you off, but like I visited a few of competitors,
Yep.
and I went to their website, and it's not easy navigation because what you just said, I want a men's shirt. I should be able to click where something says just like men's, and it's going to give me the whole thing of men's, and I'm going to get an idea of what that is, and maybe I'm going to see it on a model, maybe I won't, but like I'm going to get it right there. It's going to be 2 clicks away. So many people are so, I think, busy on making those websites so huss and fuss and so glamorous, and they got to be glitzy, and it's like, oh my God, look at all the pretty people. That's not what people care about. I'm trying to buy a shirt from you. I want to know what it's going to look like. I want to see it. Make sure your website is like easy to navigate.
Yep.
That's just like point one.
Absolutely, man. And then so once you go through all of that, we haven't even mentioned pricing. Pricing is a big tool in apparel. You gotta, thankfully a lot of people get into apparel because it has amazing fucking margins. It doesn't cost much to make and print a shirt. When you're buying the shirts wholesale and then going through a print shop, your margin is massive, but like, is it so massive that you get greedy and price yourself out of the market? This, like, learning your price niche is just as important as figuring out the brand part of it. So if you are a luxury brand and you're selling $50, $60 t-shirts, where is your margin for that? Where's your manufacturer stand in their prices? Like where are you figuring that out, right? And then also in those margins, are you figuring in seasonal sales and things like that? Can you go down $7-10 and still come out ahead when you have to do pushes for sales and things like that? And then, so there's 2 ways to calculate. You could do off of worth, right? So, and by worth, I mean what the brand is perceived as, what's the word? What the brand is perceived as being valued as. So like Louis Vuitton, right? Their shit could cost them like $10 to make, but they charge you $80 for some of that stuff. And so that's a massive margin, but since they're in the luxury market, they got to jack that up a little bit. Us, we're in the skater, streetwear,
rock
style kind of niche. Most things for us are going to be high end, $60 for a hoodie, low end, $25 for a shirt, right in there, right? And so our margins are decent on that, but there's room to play in there, but you also don't want to undercut or overcut. So look around at people that are in your niche, look at their pricing, and then, make sure that yours is dialed in on point with that. So we just went over the pricing. Now we're going to talk about placement. So placement is obviously your website, which we have talked about, but placement is also your social media and how you present and place your products so that it's accessible to your audience. And so a social strategy can be rough to get off the ground, man. You may be tempted to just kind of throw up some pictures here and there and like do some stuff that's like, it looks all right? You took it on your iPhone, you did some stuff, but you don't really know much about editing or like how to create like a visual feel for the brand. Don't skip this part, man. Steve has had to put in a lot of work, which he's done an awesome job of. But we've had to kind of completely revamp like how we present the brand. And if you look at our Instagram now, had we known all of that when we first started, probably, who knows what would have happened, but it would have saved some time. So I'm going to let Steve talk about this because he's done a fucking awesome job at getting the Instagram dialed in, and he has stepped up as the brand photographer, completely learning product photography from the ground up, literally going from an iPhone, setting the iPhone down to getting a camera. You got to talk about that, dude, because that has been fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and I'll tell you this right now, like, coming from somebody who picked up a guitar more than he ever did a camera in his life. I never picked up a camera in my life, but Kevin and I both agreed that, we were going to spend $300 every, fucking shoot, every shoot just to get like maybe three or four good shots of a t-shirt. So we decided to, I won't bore you with this. I stepped up and I said, well, I can do that shit, whatever. So we went in and we got the camera. Here's the significance of pictures and the image of the product. So Kevin works really hard and designs everything, right? Okay, so there's a story there. As a photographer and what you present to the world, you have to present a story, okay? You have to present a sound. This takes time. When I first started doing it, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. We did our first shoot at the Johnny Cash Museum, and I did it in the darkness. The light guy says I can't turn on the lights because this doesn't open until 5 o'clock. It was 3 o'clock. I'm shooting in JPEG. For all you camera nerds, you'll know. Idiot mistake. I'm shooting in JPEG, and I just shot in the dark. And I had to do my damnedest on a terrible, free editing software to try to make these things come to life. Now, what I've learned as I researched, and this is the biggest thing, your image on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, your website, your image is everything. It is beyond everything because it's not first of all, it's not who's wearing your shit, it's why they're wearing your stuff. And how you can kind of spread the why is because through the stories you tell, through the images that you promote, okay? And it took a long time. I mean, I'm still learning, man. I'm still learning photography, and I could talk about this all fucking day. But I will say this: come up. Here's my thing. When you have, whether you're the designer and you want to come up with the images you want to promote to the internet, or to advertise, or if you have I'm very blessed to have a designer friend who does it, and I can kind of have my own job, and that's to create the story. Come up with a sound. That's my best advice, is come up with your own sound. It's just like in music, where when people look at your stuff, they can hear something or they feel something. That's what music does, right? Kevin and I were brought together by music, so I always wanted to keep that in line with what we're doing. Come up with the sound. When people see something, when they see that post you did, and they see that girl in that image or that guy in that image, they can hear it, they can feel it, they can taste it. It goes a long way with your sales. I think it goes a long way with your image, and your brand deserves to have everything that you convey into what you're doing with the clothing. Your image has to say that. And another thing too is don't get in the way of your creativity. If you don't have anybody to take images for you, you'll be surprised. I told Kev this, Kev, aren't you surprised that you own a sewing machine right now? And the last time, I really saw you at thriving in creativity, not the last time, but years before, you had drumsticks in your hand, and now you have Adobe Illustrator in front of your face. It's crazy how right. You will surprise yourself about how creative you can really be. And so if you don't want to pay the $300 or $1,000 a session to get your stuff with a professional photographer, and they're gonna charge you stupid, you can learn everything yourself.
Then you got to become that professional photographer yourself. You have to, and you have to take the time. This is all about step 4, which is learn. You have to learn, and your image is so important. I have to tell Kevin's story when he designs stuff. I have to be able to tell that story because that's what we're selling. Because when we're doing online sales, they're seeing the design, but if they don't know the story of the sound, they're not buying it. So take that very, very seriously. Yeah, because what we did, when we were in our pre-launch phase, we had a photographer friend that is very talented, but he has a different style and a different approach than what works for our brand. So we hired him. It was $300, but what we weren't told was how little control we were going to have over what photos this particular person chose for us to look at. Now, that's his way of doing business. I'm not knocking him.
Yeah,
by any means. That's totally fine. Yes, it would have been preferable to be able to look at the whole batch and have more of a say on what we wanted, since it is for the brand. But that's just not the way this particular person wanted to work, and that's fine. So we got the stuff back, and you get that sinking feeling where you're like, man, this just doesn't hit. This isn't right. And we're like, we got to do this we got probably 5-6 usable photos from that. And we looked at each other, we're like, $300 every time we have a new release for 5 or 6 photos. No, dude, if you're launching an apparel brand, know that this is one of the most content heavy industries you could ever get into. You're going to need a photo shoot all the time for any
image based. It's image based.
It's image based. So, dude, hiring a professional photographer for $300-$400 a session, maybe even on up to $500, dude, it's just not feasible. You're not going to make it. So you either get a nice iPhone and learn Photoshop and get that stuff down, or, you know, if you have a partner like I'm, you know, very fortunate and blessed to have, that is willing to step up and learn it from the ground up, even better, right? You know, we have a very unique combination that we've had to work at and work out to where it's designer, photographer, director, or screenwriter, director, right?
Yeah.
I go to the board, I come up with an idea, those designs, that's my script, right? Then I hand it to the director brings it to life, you know, and we're good to go. It's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Nothing gets in the way. There's very little third parties, and that's what I want to express as well, man. The more you can control, the more that is under your roof, the faster you're going to grow, and that comes from learning those fundamental tools. It comes from learning photography. We hired out a graphic designer in the beginning, right? Like I had these ideas you see, I had them sketched out. I knew the type of feel I wanted, the type of font I wanted, all of that stuff. I had the visual laid out, and I would sketch it on a piece of paper. Then I would send it to a super talented graphic designer friend of ours. But again, you know, sometimes all the way up to $250, $300 for stuff. I'm just like, this is gonna, dude.
It's gonna kill you in the end.
It is.
If you don't learn it, it's gonna kill you in the end.
Totally, man. You know, we probably only have 7 SKUs right now, SKUs, stock keeping units, dude. But for most apparel brands, you're talking 20, 30, 50, all the way up to 1,000 stock keeping units. Dude, 1,000 times $250, $300, man. You can't afford to do that out of the gate. You can afford to do it once you're a big brand and you can have a team of graphic designers on staff. But dude, think about, like, if you don't know graphic and apparel design from the ground up, you're never going to have that aptitude to lead a team of graphic designers down the road, right? And so just like Steve took it into his own hands to buy a camera, to sit on Skillshare and YouTube and learn it from the ground up, I too have bought an iPad Pro and got Adobe Illustrator on my laptop and spent hours learning from Skillshare, learning from YouTube videos how to design, I went all the way back to the fundamental basics of graphic design, including learning fonts, like anything you would learn from a regular graphic design curriculum at any school, and then also graphic design as it relates to apparel design. And then now, as I told you guys, moving into learning how to spec a garment and make a tech pack, which is basically, you know, learning how to measure bodies and put that into garments so you know how to actually do custom cut and sew stuff, right? But dude, this has taken an obsession from the past year to the point where, like, my wife and I have had to sit down and she's like, you're distracted, you're always working on this. I was like, I know, like I have to learn it. It's that important.
That's that important.
And so maybe we should stop there, dude. Maybe, like, real quick, if you don't have that burning, literally obsession, dude, just don't do it, man. Like, it's not, it's going to be,
I think that's appropriate.
Unless you like doing it as a hobby and you have zero intention of making it your full-time thing, which is fine, dude. I'm not knocking you if you want to do that, but I cannot stress how important it is to learn all of this shit from the ground up and hire out as little as possible. If you take away anything from this, it's that. If you're going to do this, be prepared to take yourself back to school.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the numbers just speak for themselves, because you just said, you know, look, if you farm out a graphic designer to go do your new designs that you've maybe drawn up or like want to talk to him about, he's going to charge you $300. Now, I want to go do a photo shoot with that said design. Well, that's another $300. Well, $600 is going to buy you a nice DSLR camera. Well, there you just solved your photography. You just solved that problem. It pays for itself for you to learn. Mm-hmm. But Kev is very true, man. Like, dude, if you don't want to do this shit, like, if it's not like every day, and like it's not taking up your time, like then go fuck off with this stuff, because there's people like us that are gonna beat you to it. I'm sorry, we're your competition. I've always heard that with people that speak very strongly about their art and creativity. We're your competition. We were the people that will do it. So let that sink in. Let that sink in, because we're the motherfuckers that are gonna go do it, and we're giving you the means to do it. We're telling you what we're doing. We're giving away all of our secrets. Like, this is how you're going to save money. This is how you're going to become a popular brand, by doing it very cheap, but doing it yourself and doing it authentically. Which, what other way do you want to do it? And if you don't want to do it this way, and you just want to say, I don't have the time, we'll go do it. We'll be happy to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we are doing it. And so that's where it is. That's like, you know, that's where the bar is, man. So just setting the expectations, dude. Just being real. It's it takes.
Sorry, we got vicious.
No, you're good.
Sorry, we got vicious, but
no, you're good, man. I've
true.
just seen a lot of people on some other brands' pages that are like, yo, man, how hard is it to start a merch company, dude? It's fucking damn near impossible if you don't have the work ethic. Honestly,
everybody can poo something. You know what? But those people, they never do it. They never do it. We want you to do it. Yeah. We're trying to tell you to do it, because we're actively doing it. And these are two guys that had no business a year ago starting a clothing company. And it has changed our lives.
Totally.
And we are just, cutthroat with this stuff now. And our whole point of this whole conversation is to encourage you to do it. It can be done. It can be done.
It can. And so here's the other thing too. If you're just listening to this and you have zero interest in starting an apparel brand, what can you take from those past 5 minutes right there? Whatever you're trying to pursue, what are you farming out that's getting in your way? Where are you running into the first frustrations where you're like, man, this guy just doesn't get it? How can you take control back and take the responsibility off of that person and put it back on you? The answer is you can learn anything you want to learn. The amazing amount of fucking platforms that are out there to learn literally anything online, dude, we're in a completely new era. So if you have the discipline to sit down, I'm telling you, if you just say it starts and stops with me, and I'm going to take personal responsibility to make this happen, and whatever happens is my fault. Extreme success, my fault. Extreme failure, my fault. And that really is true. Because anything that you're just not wanting to do because it seems too hard, dude, no, wrong. You absolutely have the capability. You just have to commit and do it. And so that's that part of it. Those are the practical tools there. Also, you need to learn email marketing. How are you going to capture people that come to your website? We use MailChimp, so I would recommend learning MailChimp inside.
That email list is everything.
Yep,
everything.
When you show up at pop-up events, have it out in front. Any sale you make or anyone that comes up and talks, say, hey, can you please put your email address down so I can stay in touch about new releases or anything like that. And then you have to build out an email marketing structure. This takes a lot of time, and honestly, like learning Illustrator and Procreate and working on new designs has kind of taken it over for me. So I've kind of fallen off ours, but I'll get back on. But I did put in a lot of work to earlier when quarantine first hit, kind of dripping out email campaigns that introduce the brand, introducing new launches and things like that. You don't have to go crazy with emails. You don't want to beat up people's inboxes once, every other week or so, just to keep in touch, or even just once a month, or even if you never talk to them, but only when you have new releases, at least just be consistent with whatever you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you do need to have like an OmniSend or MailChimp or something like that to set that up. I believe Shopify is going to make you set up a MailChimp account because it's going to link orders to that. So when people go to your Shopify, your e-commerce store, it's going to send them notifications through that MailChimp thing. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it'll send out emails automatically, but it's going to extract the emails from the landing page when people go in to put an order, and they're going to put it in. It's going to Shopify will automatically sync it to your MailChimp account. Very important when it comes to marketing, and you want to do that. So learn MailChimp, YouTube it, and say like how to create successful email campaigns in MailChimp. You definitely need that. So we have the product, we have the social media strategy, we have the images, like how you're going to present the products. We have, how you're going to recapture existing clients through email. And then something that we have still not gotten to yet, but we'll be rolling out soon, is actual real targeted Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So you need to have a Facebook pixel in your website that collects data from people that come to your website, right? When they go to your website, their information from their IP address will go into that pixel. That pixel will feed it back to Facebook. And when you go into your Facebook ads manager, you will have this wealth of data that you can plug in certain criteria for, and the pixel will match it up with those people and show those retargeted ads to them. We have had better luck right now just building the brand organically and doing trade shows and really getting the brand dialed in from a design and visual standpoint, that we have held off on it and probably won't start until this next launch comes up. It's a lot of money, man. You need to invest. You need to be prepared to spend 3 to 6 months worth of money on whatever you're doing when it comes to Facebook ads, or else it's just not going to pay you back. Yeah. And so for us, it has been worth our while to really dial in our process and our design and our image process to the point that it's at now, because now I feel 100% confident that if we run any one of the images that Steve has and put some good ad copy with it, we're going to get a good return. So we're in year 2 right now. We're at 18, 19 months, and we're just going to start that. So what I'm trying to give you some relief and say that you don't have to dive right into Facebook advertising. You're going to be a lot better if you do all these previous steps of marketing locally and stuff like that, and just getting in front of like a core concept base. So take that from that, but that would be the final tool in the tool belt. Once you have all of those things running together, you're going to be set up for our last step, which is to actually launch and do something cool. But I know that's kind of counterintuitive, because I said you don't have to worry about the Facebook ads until like way later after the launch. But like you should be. Notice I still have the knowledge about how they work. So know how they work.
That's all about the learning aspect.
Yes.
You have to learn it. And two guys, when you're learning, whether you're starting this with a friend or 3 people, 6 people, or just by yourself. One thing I did want to say is when you are specifically learning one set of tools, take your time on it and focus on that only. Mm-hmm. Kevin and I have different roles in this in Bombers and Sleeves, where we have graphic designer to photographer, but I'm also BombCast director, and Kevin does a lot of the content and caption stuff. So there's other roles, but when we're really trying to set like a pace of like what we're trying to do, we are dead set on one thing. We're never trying to like dabble and multitask, because right now photography is a big thing, and I think graphic design is the big thing, and like I'll never ask for anything more. You guys have to concentrate on one thing, because when you master that, Kevin and I always talk about that, until we master that, we're not moving on to the next belt. It's just like karate. You don't go to the next belt until you've mastered what you've learned. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to business, and especially starting your apparel brand. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
100%.
All right, so we're gonna go to that was fun.
That was
a lot.
Of course we went.
I got an attitude. I got an attitude.
Hey, it's good, man. It's tough love, dude. It's good cop, bad cop.
It is, and I hope you guys got some love out of that. But number 5 is okay. We celebrate the launch.
All right, so the launch, step 5. You've done 1 through 4. You got some hype. You built it up. You're ready to go. All right. I would not make this a small thing. I would do whatever
Hell
you
no.
can to put a
Hell no.
massive fucking event around this. If you put up a tent in your front yard and throw a block party, and you have giveaways, I mean, do what you really got to rack the brain on this one and put a significant amount of like time and thought into really making this pop off. Is there an event in your community that you can like help sponsor and like tag along on? I mean, you want as many eyes as possible on this, and you want all those Instagram stories filming it. You want all the, I mean, you want to, this is where my man Curtis 50% Jackson says control perception.
Yes.
You want to control the perception and make it look like you guys have been around for years. You don't just want to say, hey, here's my apparel brand, guys. Will you please buy it? Blah, blah, blah. No, you want to say, hey, motherfucker, I'm here to play and I'm serious. And people are going to look at that and they're like, what the fuck? How did I miss this? I mean, that has to be the bar. And it's going to take you places. So what can you do to do that? Well, use your resources, man. You know more people than you think you know. And people you know a lot more people than you think you know. And just a little bit of humility and saying, hey, man, I want this to be the biggest launch of the fucking year, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Even if you don't have the money, can you, I don't know, do something around their house? Whatever, man. Just like, this is your brand. This is your time to launch. It's going to be huge. Like,
Share your story.
Yeah, figure out ways to make it happen. And obviously by this time you've gone from prototype to doing a first run of shirts or hats, right? And so I wanted to touch on that really quick. You know, before this time, obviously find your print shop in place, or if you're super ambitious and you bought, you know, a single screen printer and you learned how to screen print yourself out of your garage, even better, dude. Find the blanks that you want to print on, whether those be, you know, the main blanks for t-shirts are either Bella Canvas or Gildan. The Gildan Hammer tee is badass, and then the regular Bella Canvas tee is good. Go pick that out though. Go to a print store, or at least like get your wholesale license and order some from some wholesale distributors, and make sure you have your fabrics and everything picked out, right? That's part of this launch. You want to make sure that either that prototype that you're running with, you're just doing like one shirt and one hat, whatever your quote line is, have that line dialed the fuck in prior to launch too. But you know, once the launch does come out, this has got to knock the fucking socks off of people, man. Don't just make this a small thing. It should be a big thing. And even, dude, let's say you're really young. Maybe you're only 18, 19. You don't know a lot of people, but you still want to do this. Man, it's scalable, right? Like making the launch a big deal is scalable to the resources that you have available, right? I'm not saying you got to go get a loan for $100,000 and pack out a fucking, you know, ballroom. You know, it's as big as you can make it based on what you have to work with. Just don't make it a little deal in your mind, right? At least put forth an honest effort to be like, all right, how can I make this as big as possible and as big of a deal as possible? Because you're going to need all the momentum you can possibly fucking get, dude. You're signing up for a long road and a long journey and a lot of peaks and valleys. There's a lot of excitement around release, but once that release is over, dude, you're back to the drawing board, and it's actually like you got to like master the mundane, man. It's a lot of day in and day out practice, and you know, it's not like you launch and then everything's good to go. Now the real work starts. So the more you can set that bar right out of the gate for creating as much excitement around it as you can, you're going to need that as fuel for when a launch doesn't go as successful as you thought it would be, or if you have, you know, 5 out of your 10 shirts are a misprint, and you know, you're gonna have, there's a lot of shit that is gonna come up that's gonna be rough. But on the subject of money, even if you are 18, 19, you can do a good amount, but at the end of the day, man, this shit costs a lot of money. This is an expensive business to get into. It's not as crazy as like, you know, starting a tech firm or something like that, where you need like millions of dollars in seed money, but you're going to need, dude, at the minimum 10, 15 grand, which depending on where you are is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so be prepared for the battle, be prepared for boring moments, be prepared to spend a decent amount of money before you see any type of return. And most of all, man, I probably wouldn't do any of this until I was really sure that I wanted to dedicate all my time to learning every aspect of this. or else just be okay with just doing it as a hobby and doing it for fun.
Yeah, 100%, man. It does take money. And Kevin and I had this. This is a personal experience, but like we have paid the money. We have paid that money we're talking about, and we have gone to shows where we probably haven't gotten back what we thought we were gonna get. But here's what we got back. We still celebrated it as a victory because we got back knowledge, information, and things that could make us do better the next time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, man. And, in closing, if you have listened to this whole thing and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm fired up, man. I'm starting an apparel brand. Dude, I'm genuinely stoked for you because the other side of everything is you're going to have a hell of a time, man. The people that we've met and the connections we've been able to make through this company is just amazing, man. All like a lot of connections that we would have never been able to make had we never started the brand. So I'm excited for the challenges you're going to face. I'm excited for the people that you're going to meet, that are going to support you, that are going to have stories of their own, that are going to connect with your brand on ways that you never expected and open up doors that you've never even seen out there. So know that is on the other side as well.
This is such a rad fucking journey, y'all. It is a rad fucking journey if you do it right. And we're two people here to tell you that is the most exciting experience that we've ever faced in our lives.
It really is. That's bombing your boundaries. But
Totally. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Y'all, so I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. And if you like what you heard today and you gained knowledge and learned something, please rate and review this episode or visit our brand new YouTube channel. Subscribe to our channel. It is Bombers and Sleeves BombCast. Give us a like. We love what we do, and what we do is for the YOU. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram at Bombers and Sleeves, and get updated on all of our apparel, all of our content, and our blog at bombersandsleeves.com. Y'all, until next time, bomb your boundaries, baby.
Peace.